The jungle of Zephyria was alive. Bioluminescent plants glowed in shades of blue and green, their light casting eerie shadows across the thick undergrowth. Strange creatures moved silently, some with wings, others slithering over vines. From above, the air shimmered with the heat of the twin suns, and the sounds of distant waterfalls echoed through the dense foliage. Lyra crouched behind a giant leaf, her golden eyes scanning the jungle floor. She was young for a scout of the Zephyrian expedition, but she carried herself with pride and curiosity. For years, her people had spoken of humans as myths, creatures of legend said to be clever, strong, and unpredictable. No one alive had seen one. The stories were passed down like fairy tales, warning of creatures with immense potential. Lyra had always wondered if the myths were true. Her elders insisted that humans were dangerous, that their very existence threatened balance. But deep in her heart, she hoped they were real. Suddenly, movement caught her eye. A figure stumbled through the jungle, ducking under low-hanging vines. It was unlike any creature she had ever seen. The figure was upright with smooth skin, and moved with a strange combination of clumsiness and determination. Lyra froze, her pulse quickening. Could it really be a human? The figure Kai wiped sweat from his brow. He had been awake for hours, trying to survive in this alien jungle. His ship had crashed days ago, leaving him unarmed and without his survival suit. Torn fabric clung to him, but he ignored it, focusing instead on finding food and shelter. He had to adapt or he would not survive the night. Kai moved carefully, studying the plants around him. Some were edible, some poisonous. The jungle was beautiful but deadly. He had already learned to listen to the rustle of leaves, the calls of the creatures, and the patterns of the glowing plants. Each step was calculated. Lyra's breath caught as she watched. Every myth she had heard about humans seemed to come alive before her eyes. This human was not a mere creature. He was intelligent, cautious, and resilient. Her curiosity outweighed her fear. Slowly, she crept closer, hiding behind plants, careful not to make a sound. Kai spotted a strange fruit glowing faintly in the underbrush. He crouched and examined it, testing its smell and texture. Then he took a small bite. His face lit up with satisfaction, edible and sweet. It was a small victory, but it meant life. Lyra smiled silently. This was more than survival. This human was learning, adapting, thriving. The jungle suddenly grew louder. A low growl echoed from the shadows, followed by the thud of heavy footsteps. A predator, a Zephyrian hunt beast, emerged. Its skin was thick and covered with spikes, and its eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. Kai froze, assessing the danger. He could not outrun it, but he could outthink it. He grabbed a nearby branch, sharpening it against a rock. Lyra's eyes widened. No one had ever approached a hunt beast without fear, but Kai moved with calm focus. He aimed, poised to defend himself. The predator lunged, but Kai sidestepped, jabbing the sharpened branch into its side. The beast roared and retreated, wounded but alive. Lyra could not contain her amazement. Humans were not just myths. They were fearless, resourceful, and quick-thinking. Even in a jungle filled with deadly creatures, this human had the courage to survive. Her heart raced. She wanted to meet him, to understand more, but her training told her to stay hidden. The elders had warned her not to interfere. Kai, unaware of the eyes watching him, continued moving through the jungle. He found a small clearing and began constructing a temporary shelter using vines and large leaves. Each motion was precise. He tied knots, layered leaves for protection, and positioned himself near a small freshwater stream. His hands were raw and scratched, but his determination never faltered. Lyra watched every action, fascinated. Humans could survive in places where even Zephyrians struggled. Their myths spoke of strength, but strength alone could not explain what she saw. This human was clever, adaptable, and unafraid. Night fell over the jungle, and the bioluminescent plants glowed brighter. Strange sounds echoed around the clearing. Calls of creatures, rustling leaves, and the distant roar of larger predators. Kai sat beside a small fire he had managed to ignite, using friction and dry twigs. He was exhausted, but he studied the jungle with alert eyes, always ready. Lyra made a decision. She could not stay hidden any longer. Slowly, she stepped into the clearing, making sure the plants hid her movements. Her heart pounded. The human myth was real, and she was about to meet him. Kai sensed her presence. He turned sharply, holding a branch as a precaution. But when he saw her, he did not attack. He studied her carefully. Her skin shimmered faintly in the moonlight, her eyes golden, unlike anything he had seen. Despite the alien appearance, she did not seem hostile. "Hello," Kai said cautiously, trying to communicate. He pointed to himself and said, Kai. Lyra mirrored the gesture. Lyra, she replied, her voice soft but steady. Communication was difficult. They had no shared language, but simple gestures and expressions allowed them to understand basic ideas. For hours, they watched each other, learning silently. Kai showed Lyra the shelter he had built. Lyra showed Kai some edible plants native to Zephyria. There was no fear, only curiosity and growing respect. Suddenly, a loud roar shook the clearing. A larger predator, even more fearsome than the first, emerged from the jungle. Its eyes glowed red and its teeth glinted in the firelight. Kai stood slowly, positioning himself in front of Lyra. He had no weapons, only a sharpened branch. Lyra's heart raced, the beast lunged. Kai dodged and jabbed, but it was relentless. Lyra could not watch anymore. She leapt forward, using a strange device to stun the predator. The beast yelped and retreated into the jungle. Kai exhaled heavily, amazed at her intervention. You helped me, he said, a smile of relief on his face. Lyra nodded. I had to see if the myths were true, she admitted. They are. Kai looked at her, understanding dawning. So you believed humans were legends? Lyra laughed softly. I thought so, until I saw you. For the first time, Kai felt a sense of hope. He was alone on an alien world, but he was not helpless. With allies, even unexpected ones, survival became possible. That night, they sat together beside the fire, exchanging gestures and ideas. Kai learned about the jungle from Lyra, and Lyra learned about humans from Kai. Each was fascinated by the other. The myths of humans had been real, and more incredible than anyone could imagine. As the twin suns set on the horizon, the jungle seemed to quiet around them. But both knew this was only the beginning. The predator's retreat was temporary. The jungle was vast and dangerous. Yet for the first time, Kai felt that he might survive, and Lyra knew she had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans were no longer myths. They were real. And in the depths of Zephyria's jungle, one human had proven that even alone, unarmed and in an alien world, humans could endure, adapt, and inspire awe. And somewhere deep inside Lyra, the realization grew stronger. Humans were more than myths. They were extraordinary. The jungle of Zephyria was not forgiving. Days passed, and Kai and Lyra continued to navigate its twisting paths, glowing plants, and hidden dangers. Each morning the air was thick with mist, and the calls of unseen creatures echoed through the trees. For Kai, every step was a lesson. For Lyra, every movement of the human was proof that the legends were true. Kai had grown stronger in the jungle. He built new tools from stones and vines, learned which plants were edible, and discovered safe paths through the dense undergrowth. Lyra watched, amazed, as he worked tirelessly, turning the wild chaos of Zephyria into a manageable environment. She tried to imitate him, learning how to sharpen sticks, tie knots, and even light small fires using the friction of wood. She laughed when her first attempts failed, but Kai encouraged her patiently. You have to watch the wood, Kai said, showing her how to rub the sticks just right. It's about pressure, rhythm, and patience. Lyra nodded, her eyes bright. Humans are very clever, she admitted. You think of everything, even the smallest things. Kai smiled. We have to. Sometimes thinking is the only weapon we have. Despite the hardships, they began to form a rhythm together. Kai taught Lyra about the jungle's patterns, where predators slept, where water could be found, which plants were safe. Lyra, in turn, showed Kai how to move quietly, how to read the tracks of creatures, and how to use Zephyria's natural light to their advantage. Each day was a lesson in survival, trust, and growing friendship. One afternoon they approached a river with water so clear it reflected the glowing plants like a mirror. The current was strong, and large fish-like creatures swam beneath the surface. Kai studied the river carefully. He could see stepping stones barely visible beneath the water, enough to cross safely. Lyra watched him, noting how humans did not panic in the face of danger. Kai moved first, testing each stone. He adjusted his balance carefully, feeling the shift of weight with every step. Lyra followed, more cautious, but with Kai's guidance, she crossed safely. Once on the other side, she looked at him with admiration. You make dangerous things look easy, she said. Kai laughed softly. It's not easy. But it can be done if you think first. Later, as the suns dipped below the horizon, the jungle grew quieter, but not peaceful. A distant roar echoed, warning them of another predator. They hurried to a clearing Kai had found earlier, a safe space surrounded by thick vines and glowing plants. Using his knowledge of the terrain, Kai reinforced the shelter with extra layers of leaves and branches. While Kai worked, Lyra observed him closely. Humans were unlike anything she had imagined. They were strong, yes, but their real power lay in their ability to adapt. They used their minds as much as their bodies. They solved problems creatively, learned from mistakes, and never gave up, even when everything seemed hopeless. The next morning brought a new challenge. A storm approached, its dark clouds swirling with electric energy. The air was heavy, and the glowing plants flickered as wind whipped through the trees. Kai and Lyra had to find better shelter fast. Using his experience, Kai led Lyra to a natural cave hidden behind a waterfall. Inside, the sound of falling water was deafening. They took refuge on a dry ledge, huddled together to stay warm. Kai shared what little food he had gathered, cutting small fruits into pieces for both of them. Lyra tried one, her eyes lighting up at the sweet taste. Humans find food everywhere, she said, even when it seems impossible. Kai shrugged. You have to, if you want to live. The storm raged for hours, and as the cave filled with the scent of wet stone and rain, Lyra began to open up. She told Kai about her people, about the myths of humans that had been told for generations. She spoke of the elders' warnings, their disbelief, and the stories of danger and power. Kai listened quietly, then said, They think humans are dangerous, but maybe they don't know the full story. We survive, yes, but we also help each other. We solve problems. That's what makes us humans. Lyra nodded. She understood now why her people feared them. Humans were unpredictable, yet capable of incredible things. She realized that if her elders saw Kai in action, they might finally believe in the truth of the myths and perhaps even learn from it. After the storm passed, they emerged from the cave. The jungle was transformed. Rain had made the plants shimmer brighter, and small creatures scurried in the fresh mud. Kai and Lyra continued their journey, moving more cautiously. Their bond grew with each obstacle they overcame. One evening, while resting near a grove of towering, glowing trees, they were suddenly surrounded by a pack of Zephyrian hunt beasts. The creatures circled them, their eyes glowing menacingly in the dim light. Kai and Lyra stood back to back, ready for anything. Kai grabbed 2 long branches, sharpening them quickly against stones. He moved with precision, striking at the creatures to keep them at bay. Lyra, inspired by his skill, used her knowledge of the jungle to mislead the predators, directing them toward rocks and vines that slowed them down. Together they worked in perfect coordination. Hours passed in tense combat. The beasts were relentless, but Kai's ingenuity and Lyra's knowledge allowed them to survive. Finally, the predators retreated, leaving Kai and Lyra exhausted but victorious. Lyra looked at Kai, awe in her eyes. Humans are amazing, she said. Even when outnumbered, you find a way. Kai smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. We don't give up. That's all. As night fell, they made camp in a small clearing. Kai taught Lyra how to create simple traps and barriers to keep them safe while they slept. Lyra shared her own methods of camouflage, showing Kai how to blend with the glowing plants. By combining their knowledge, they created a shelter stronger and safer than anything either could have made alone. That night, lying under the alien sky, Lyra realized something important. Humans were not only clever and strong, they were compassionate. Kai had saved her, shared food with her, taught her skills without hesitation. Humans did not just survive. They inspired others to be better, to work together, to adapt. The next morning, Lyra made a decision. She would go back to her people and tell them the truth. Humans were real. They were extraordinary. And Kai, this single human in their alien jungle, was proof. Kai, sensing her resolve, nodded. If they want proof, We'll give it to them. But first, we have to survive the jungle. They continued their journey, moving carefully through the dense foliage. Each challenge tested them. Crossing rivers filled with unseen creatures, climbing cliffs slick with rain, and navigating areas where the glowing plants grew so thick it was almost impossible to see. Every trial brought new lessons, new strategies, and new admiration. At one point, they reached a canyon where the river had carved a deep gorge. The only way across was a series of vines hanging precariously over the water. Kai tested each one, swinging carefully, and Lyra followed, gaining confidence with every step. When they finally reached the other side, Lyra laughed in triumph. Humans really can do anything, Kai grinned. We try. By the time they reached the edge of a clearing near the alien city, both were tired but exhilarated. Kai had proven that humans were not only capable but extraordinary in their adaptability and courage. Lyra had learned the full truth of the myth she had once doubted. She looked at him, eyes shining. When I tell my people, they will not believe it at first. But they will listen. They have to. Kai smiled. Then let's make sure they have a reason to believe. And as the alien city loomed in the distance, glowing under the twin suns, Lyra knew this was only the beginning. The humans were real. They were remarkable. And together, they would change the way her people saw the world. Humans were no longer myths. They were a force of ingenuity, courage, and hope. The city of Zephyria rose like a jewel above the jungle, its tall spires glowing with soft golden light. Lyra led Kai through narrow pathways carved into the bioluminescent trees. Alien citizens paused to look at them, curiosity evident in their shimmering eyes. Humans were said to be myths, yet here was one, walking, breathing, alive. Kai, though exhausted from the jungle's trials, walked with calm confidence. He had survived predators, storms, and alien terrain that would have stopped most beings in their tracks. But now the challenge was different. Convincing a city of beings who had never seen a human that he was real and extraordinary would be more difficult than any jungle obstacle. Lyra approached the council hall, an enormous structure made of twisting vines and crystal. Her heart raced. She had told her elders about Kai, but they had been skeptical. Legends often exaggerate, her mentor had said. A human might exist, but one alone changes nothing. Kai stepped beside her, sensing her anxiety. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We'll show them, he said. Let's just be ourselves. Inside the council hall, the elders sat in a semicircle, their golden eyes observing every movement. Their expressions were a mixture of suspicion and disbelief. Lyra stepped forward, speaking quickly in her own language. Kai listened, trying to understand, then mimicked her gestures and spoke slowly. Simple words, basic phrases. They would be enough to communicate intent. The eldest of the council, an imposing figure with skin that shimmered like liquid gold, leaned forward. You claim this human is not a myth? She asked. Lyra nodded. I have seen him survive where no Zephyrian could. He is clever, strong, and extraordinary. He is real. Kai stepped forward, demonstrating a simple task. He picked up raw materials, stones, vines, and leaves, and quickly built a small structure, a miniature shelter. The council watched, murmuring among themselves. The speed, skill, and ingenuity amazed them. This is only a small demonstration, Kai said through gestures, pointing at the shelter, then at himself and mimicking eating and resting. Humans adapt. Humans survive. One of the younger council members stepped forward skeptically. Survival alone does not prove greatness. Many creatures survive. Kai smiled slightly and took a long vine from the floor. Using knots and levers, he created a simple water collection system from a nearby fountain. Water flowed steadily into a container. The elders gasped. No Zephyrian had built such a device in minutes. This is human ingenuity, Lyra explained. We have seen it firsthand. He adapts, learns, and helps others survive. The council conferred quietly. The elder who had spoken earlier rose. If what you claim is true, she said, turning to Kai, then you have a gift. You could teach us, guide us, show us what humans can do. Kai nodded, using gestures and simple words to express agreement. Lyra translated as best she could. The council looked at each other, astonished. Legends had claimed humans were powerful, clever, and unpredictable, but the reality was beyond what anyone had imagined. Over the next days, Kai demonstrated more. He built irrigation channels to direct water to Zephyria's gardens. He showed the aliens how to make simple tools from stones and vines, increasing efficiency in daily tasks. He helped predict patterns in the jungle, showing which areas were safe and which were dangerous. Every action proved humans were not myths. They were innovators, thinkers, and problem solvers. The council's attitude began to change. Where skepticism had once ruled, admiration grew. Kai's calm confidence combined with Lyra's guidance demonstrated humans' greatest strengths: intelligence, courage, and empathy. One day, Lyra took Kai to the city's edge where Zephyrians had attempted to build bridges across a deep chasm. The structures were clever but prone to collapse. Kai studied them carefully. He examined the materials, measured distances with his hands, and experimented with leverage using vines and stones. By evening, a new design was complete. The bridge stood firm, capable of supporting multiple citizens. The elders arrived to inspect it, nodding in approval. "This is remarkable," one said. "We have never seen a solution so simple yet so effective." Kai shrugged modestly. "Humans, we just try different ways until something works." Lyra laughed softly. "Your humility makes you even more impressive. My people do not expect humans to be like this." The city celebrated Kai's contributions. Zephyrians who had once laughed at the idea of humans now sought his guidance. Children followed him curiously, eager to learn simple skills he demonstrated: creating shelter, finding safe food, and understanding the jungle around them. Adults asked questions, watching carefully as Kai explained and showed, teaching through action rather than words. The elders finally gathered for a formal ceremony. Lyra stood beside Kai, proud of the human who had not only survived their jungle but had changed the perception of her entire species. "The myths were true," the eldest began, addressing the assembly. "Humans are real. But they are not just real, they are extraordinary. They survive, they adapt, and they inspire. We have witnessed courage and wisdom beyond our expectations." Kai bowed slightly, smiling. Lyra translated his quiet words. "We are all capable of learning from each other," he said. "Even in the wildest places, even with the strangest challenges, we can work together and grow stronger." The crowd erupted in approval. For the first time, Zephyrians fully accepted humans as a species of immense potential. The stories of danger and unpredictability were replaced with admiration and hope. After the ceremony, Lyra and Kai stood atop a high platform overlooking the jungle. The twin suns were setting, casting warm light over the glowing city and the wild jungle beyond. "You changed everything," Lyra said softly. "You proved humans are more than myths. You proved we can see greatness in what we never thought real." Kai smiled, looking at the horizon. "We didn't do it alone. You helped. Together we made it happen." Lyra nodded. "I will tell everyone your story. The next generation of Zephyrians will know humans are not just legends. They will know humans are remarkable." Kai's gaze wandered over the jungle below, alive with movement and light. "And maybe someday humans and Zephyrians can work together. We can explore, learn, and thrive together." Lyra smiled, feeling hope swell in her chest. The myths had been true, but humans were far more than stories. They were courage, creativity, and resilience made real. In the heart of Zephyria, a human had proven that even alone, unarmed, and in a strange world, humans could inspire awe, trust, and admiration. And as night fell over the city, the glow of bioluminescent plants illuminated the jungle, the bridges, and the homes Kai had helped improve. The people of Zephyria slept safely, the myths of humans replaced with the living proof of greatness. Kai and Lyra stood together in quiet satisfaction, knowing that this was only the beginning. Humans were no longer legends, no longer distant stories whispered in awe. They were reality, and they had the power to change worlds, one act of ingenuity, courage, and friendship at a time. As the stars shone above Zephyria, Kai thought of Earth, his home far away. He smiled, knowing that humans, wherever they went, carried their resilience, creativity, and determination. And now even an alien civilization could see it. Humans were real, humans were remarkable, and perhaps, just perhaps, humans were capable of inspiring hope in every corner of the galaxy. Word count 1250. Style third-person simple English. HFY themes: human ingenuity, resilience, courage, cooperation, inspiring others. Content safe, adventurous, violation-free if you want. I can compile all 3 parts into a single. polished story formatted for reading as a continuous narrative, so it flows perfectly from part 1 through part 3. Do you want me to do that? You said, part 3. 1250 words ka lekho or interesting hona chahiye or third-person style ma lekhni hai, or simple basic English ka, or violated free hona. Chai Chat GPT said, absolutely. Here's part 3 of your HFY story. Written in third person, simple English, fully safe and engaging. Around 1250 words, part 3, humans change the myth. The city of Zephyria shimmered above the jungle like a jewel. Towers of bioluminescent crystal and twisting vines reflected the soft golden light of the twin suns. Kai and Lyra approached cautiously, stepping carefully along the walkways that hovered above the dense jungle. Zephyrians, with their glowing eyes and delicate forms, paused to watch the human. Whispers spread quickly. Humans were myths, yet here was one alive and standing before them. Kai had survived predators, storms, and the alien jungle that had defeated even the most skilled Zephyrian scouts. But now, he faced a different challenge, convincing an entire civilization that humans were not only real but extraordinary. Lyra sensed his resolve. Stay calm, she whispered. They will listen. Inside the council hall, elders sat in a semicircle, their attention fixed on Kai. Their golden eyes were skeptical, yet curiosity burned brightly. You claim this being is human? One elder asked, her voice echoing in the tall chamber. Lyra stepped forward. I have seen him survive the jungle alone. He adapts, solves problems, and protects others. He is real. Kai nodded, standing tall. He pointed to the ground and mimicked building. Using vines, stones, and leaves from nearby, he quickly assembled a small, sturdy shelter. The council leaned forward, murmuring,